Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. And this week on the show, we're covering Marina Abramovic. I'm Patrick Ryan, joined by Dennis Cheney. Hi, Dennis.
Hello, Patrick.
Still separated.
Forever we shall be.
Numbers spiking. Just, ugh.
I know.
We are never going to do a podcast in the same room again.
Nope. I know. It's spiking right around the time we were talking about getting back together.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way it rolls.
You notice I didn't bring up that idea this week. I was like, yeah, never mind.
I know. Well, I figure that's why, though. I've been reading the news.
It's for the... Oh, go ahead.
It's no bueno, Patrick.
It's no bueno. I really feel like we're heading back towards a lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably after 4th of July. This is 4th of July week, so if some fireworks go off, that's what's happening. It's not gunshots. We're just very liberal with fireworks where I live, and we start up like, I don't know, 2 weeks in advance. Like it's...
Well, there's like a nationwide surge in fireworks, I read.
Really?
Yeah, at first, I heard there was like this conspiracy theory, the cops were setting off fireworks, and then they kind of denounced that, and then
that would not surprise me.
No, but this is not like at protests. This is like just randomly,
just for fun,
in the middle of the night. Yeah, and it was like, oh, they're trying to destabilize community, and then that kind of got.
All right, well, I don't know about that.
But then I saw, that was the idea. But then I saw an article that I laughed at when I first saw the headline that says, "Surge in fireworks goes unexplained." And I was like, are we really going to have the news saying this stuff a week before 4th of July?
Yeah.
So I read the article, and it is actually apparently kind of weird. There's been this gigantic, there's been it's like 300 to like 1,000% more calls about fireworks. Now, keep in mind, the world's kind of burning right now, but
yeah,
there's way more complaints, and then some of the instances are, like, really weird. Like, people have gotten a hold of, like, in New York, some people had, like, some professional-grade stuff that was basically explosives. I don't know what to make
That was
of it.
where my thought was going. I thought you were going to tell me there was a surge in sales and stuff, and I was going to say, well, maybe that's people stocking up on things that can be put together to make bigger things that explode.
That sick of being inside, and they're going to make 4th of July their big coming out party.
That also is what I see happening, and that's going to be our humongous spike, and then we're all going to get locked up again.
Yep.
Oh, I think it's going to be more serious this time. It's going to be a lot stricter lockdown. It isn't going to be this fun time if you feel like it lockdown that we just had.
Oh, it's masks are going to be mandatory.
Oh yeah, that's a thing now.
In my county starting tomorrow.
Kansas is starting to, the governor came out yesterday, as we're recording this, it'll be a couple days ago, on Monday, and said that, yeah, Kansas-wide, we're doing masks.
Yep. So that's a little more hardcore than we were last time.
I'm like, good. Now it's like a law, and now you got to be a law-abiding citizen, and it's going to put a lot of people in a weird place, I think.
I think a lot of people aren't going to do it.
No, they're not.
You can't really enforce that.
You can.
You can make examples of a few people.
That's more likely what will happen. Oh, it's a mess.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to talk about today, Dennis, is probably not going to make you feel a whole lot better. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of know the topic already. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
This lady is not going to be an uplifting topic.
Oh, yeah. This week, we're specifically doing it about one person.
Yeah, this is very abnormal. There's just a handful of stories and stuff about this lady that actually are going to fill this whole episode. And we'll see. I want to see what you think about all this. But let's get into it. I guess I should say all our source information, everything that I found, that I put together on this episode, can be found at the Sources tab at crypticaccounts.com. So let's get into it. Marina Abramovic is a Serbian of supposed Orthodox religious background and was educated in Belgrade, Serbia. Her parents were communists who served in the military, but had a tempestuous marriage devoid of love. She grew up with communist, socialist, Marxist ideology permeating her unhappy home environment and influencing her thinking extensively.
That'd be so weird to have your parents argue all the time, but also they're communists. So like it'd be like, you never share the checkbook. Marx says that just is a weird mix.
Yeah, she's a very weird mix, and believe me, it's only going to get weirder from here. But I think this is going to help kind of maybe shape who she's become in a way.
Oh, I'm sure.
So some believe, but cannot prove, that her parents were actually Jews masquerading behind Christian orthodoxy, concealing who they really were. Historically documented, secular Jews have publicly converted to anything like religious-wise or society-wise to escape persecution or death and conceal their true identities. In addition to this, it is clear from Marina's own accounts of childhood that she was emotionally and psychologically traumatized by her distant mother. This explains a lot about what we see today, Abramovich's robotic and persistent obsession with self, and willingness to risk whatever it takes to command respect. Note also that she was influenced by Joseph Bayou's humanistic activism and his blurring of art and life realities, which has accelerated ideas spawning 3 generations of pseudo-art, which we can spin off into a whole nother thing but I think you're going to pick up enough just talking about her that you're going to understand who this Joseph guy is, this humanistic activism. I'm not a huge art person, so I had to look a lot of stuff up, and then I was like, I don't think we need to explain that. You're going to pick that up about her.
Gotta say, she's got some, I don't know anything about what she's done, but she's got some hallmarks of some people who grow up to be sociopaths here with unstable home life, her mom neglecting her, kind of being obsessed with herself.
Communist.
Yeah.
Marxist. That's one you don't hear very often anymore.
Marxism.
So, besides earning her spot as one of the world's most famous and talented performance artists, Marina has also inadvertently become one of the most divisive public figures currently working in the arts. In January, Christie's announced an upcoming collaboration with Abramovic and Microsoft that would involve Marina's work, This Life, being projected to the audiences via mixed reality headsets. A Microsoft YouTube video promoting the project was subsequently downvoted in mass by detractors and conspiracy theorists, encouraged by Reddit threads and InfoWars, who labeled Abramovic the queen of occult symbolism and a spirit-cooking priestess.
Ooh.
So that's what we're going to get into.
Spirit cooking some nasty stuff, man.
So I've got pictures in here. You can see her. There's something unsettling about her.
Yes, I agree.
And so Microsoft had this ad that they were going to do with it. And I honestly couldn't find as much into this realm as this was my original thought when I got into this, was her and this ad that Microsoft pulled down as soon as everybody's like calling her like a Satanist and stuff. They're like, oh, you guys know about that? Which is weird because she's very famous and she's already known for these things. So I was kind of confused why Microsoft put her in and then backed out of it as soon as it got a bad response.
Well, obviously they knew.
They definitely knew, and I don't know what to assume about Microsoft based on that. Because she is like an artist or whatever, but she has of all the artists you could choose, she's a very controversial one when you're trying to be like a mainstream brand.
Controversial, but also I would think 98% of people don't know who she is.
No.
She seems to do this like experimental art stuff that you might see a few times in your life if you go to a museum. Like, this is not like going to make your brand more popular.
Well,
it's
she
not
does
like
live,
she John
does like
Legend.
live things. No, but she does live events.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying she seems to be a niche artist. I'd never heard of her.
I'd never heard of her either, other than I'd gotten into her because of what we're going to get into on this. But the more I dug into her, like in the art community, she is very well known.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but I mean, like, this is Microsoft, so I'm guessing they want the widest audience possible.
That's
So
what
you
I would
want like
think.
Lady Gaga if you want to find a weird chick to do a commercial, like go with Lady Gaga. Like you don't have like it's
Yeah.
weird they would associate with her. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I never thought about using Microsoft, but Marina Abramovic uses it. I mean, just it's just bizarre.
What's going to make it even weirder is the next thing I'm going to tell you. Because, okay, this happened this year. This whole thing with Microsoft and all that. That's how she
Okay.
got on my radar. But when I started digging into her, and I was unaware of this, maybe you were aware of this. In 2016, you remember the WikiLeaks
Yeah.
whole thing and the Clinton emails?
Yeah.
So in a leaked email between Clinton's campaign chair, John Podesta, and his brother, Tony Podesta, an invitation from Marina is forwarded. It reads, I am so looking forward to the spirit cooking dinner at my place. Do you think you will be able to let me know if your brother is joining?
Mm-hmm.
Were you aware of this?
I didn't know who this individual was, but I was aware of that was part of those emails. Yeah.
The spirit cooking?
Yeah.
And we're going to get into,
Spirit cooking and pizzas, my friend.
oh, so the act of spirit cooking, Dennis, involves Marina using pig's blood as a way of connecting with the spiritual world to cook up thoughts rather than food. A video of the practice shows her writing various statements with blood, such as, and I quote, with a sharp knife, cut deeply into your middle finger, eat the pain. Now, Abram,
Yikes.
yeah, how's that? I think later on down, I think I have a picture. We're going to talk about this for a minute of that actual writing, and it is creepy. It looks like some helter skelter stuff. Um, so the act of spirit. Okay, I told you what it was. Abramovich is known and lauded for work that focuses on pain, blood, and the relationship between the performer and the audience. Her work has won many awards, including the Golden Lion at Venice. Again, that must be a big deal to art people. I was not aware. Um, the email has caused shock within some Republican circles, with InfoWars calling it one of the most disturbing WikiLeaks revelations to date, as well as stating reports that FBI agents see Hillary Clinton as the Antichrist personified now make a lot more sense. That was InfoWars 2016. I'm not saying Hillary is the Antichrist. But I definitely feel like there's something here. So
Well, yeah.
on Twitter at the time, hashtag spirit cooking was the top trend when it happened back in 2016. Republican author Mark Dice tweeted, I am now accepting apologies from everyone who said I was crazy for writing books about how the establishment are Satanists. While another tweet, shared over 1,000 times, compared her to the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer.
Man.
And this came from WikiLeaks themselves. They tweeted a bunch of stuff. Abramovich, a Serbian performance artist, has apparently conducted these dinners since the 1990s. While the title Spirit Cooking Dinner suggests they constitute a harmless, if not spiritual practice, some components of the recipes are rather alarming. So the Predesto Spirit Cooking Dinner, it's not what you think. It's blood, sperm, and breast milk, but mostly blood.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a message to Marina, what place do you see the occult having within contemporary art? Can magick, spelled with a K, which I'm going to explain in a little bit, be made, not simply appropriated, performed? Her response? Everything depends on which context you are doing what you are doing. If you are doing the occult magic in the context of art or in a gallery, then it is art. If you are doing it in a different context, in spiritual circles or private house, or on TV shows, it is not art. The intention, the context for what is made, and where it is made defines what art is or not.
So she's a straight up like Aleister Crowley style witch.
Yeah, and if you'll scroll down to the next page, Dennis, you can see the with a sharp knife cut deeply into the middle finger of your left hand, eat the pain. This is actually from 1997, so she's done this multiple times. This actually isn't the same picture. There's another picture I think I have in here of her drawing it in, I believe, 2016.
She just loves that sentence. What can I
Apparently, she
say?
said it a little bit different than I said it earlier, but yeah, essentially the same context. I don't know what that means, But that's obviously got some sort of second level meaning to it, I think.
Ah.
It's very specific with the middle finger of the left hand, and I don't know what that means. I should have looked into if that has some special meaning in occult practices or something.
Oh man, I'm gonna guess it does. Yeah.
I'm assuming because most people are right-handed, and you date witchcraft back, that would have been at a time when most people were like strictly encouraged to be right-handed. Your left hand would have been the one you cut.
And
But I don't feel
also
like
eat the pain. It's like drinking blood.
drinking blood. Yeah, that was my next thought. Is this is yeah. So this video that this picture is from a spirit dinner in 1997, Dennis. So 23 years ago. She uses a thick red liquid substance bubbling at the top of a bucket to scrawl unsettling phrases and commands on a white wall. So there wasn't just that one, Dennis. There was others.
Seems like art to me.
Yeah, doesn't this all sound like something art like you'd want to hang up in your house or in a gallery or I don't know
I want a
where.
little miniature one, like on a magnet to put on my fridge.
I am cutting my left hand for you now, Dennis, and I'm going to make you a very small one. I'm going to get a little eyedropper. It's going to be very intricate, personal. So some of the other ones that have come up over the years that she's been doing these spirit dinners. One calls for Dennis for breast milk and semen to be mixed together and consumed on earthquake nights.
What is an earthquake night?
A night of an earthquake.
Wow. Okay.
Like a night where there's an earthquake. I don't know if you got to be where the earthquake is. I didn't delve that far into it. I pretty much stopped at drinking breast milk with semen in it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's enough."
Yikes! And in 1997, that would have been when Podesta was working with the first Clinton.
Yep. You did put that together, Dennis.
Yeah.
Oh, so another one read, fresh morning urine, sprinkle on nightmare dreams. I don't know what that means, but she wrote it on the wall in blood.
All right.
The vulgarity of these statements and others have convinced some that Marina and the Podestas engaged in satanic rituals. At the very least, some recipes appear to be highly ritualistic. Not so much artsy, I'd say. I don't know what's art about drinking breast milk and semen.
No, and in fact, her own private email that she never thought would be leaked to the world said that if you're not doing it in a gallery, it's magic.
Yep.
And specifically with a K, which I already know what that means, but I'm going to let you explain it.
No,
go ahead.
I don't know how deeply I get into it. It comes back up later, and I was going to explain it more then. It's basically just witchcraft. There's different levels of it. The greater and the lesser magic, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah,
and
it's
that was
real magic. It's like real satanic.
And that was what's his name that wrote the Satanic Bible? That
Aleister Crowley.
Anton LaVey, I think, came up with
that. Okay.
So another says, take 13 leaves of uncut cabbage, 13,000 grams of jealousy, steam for a long time in a deep iron pot until all water evaporates. Eat just before attack. That sounds like a spell.
That definitely sounds like a spell.
That sounds like she just explained a spell.
Yep.
Again, this is written on a large white wall in pig's blood.
Oh,
she didn't just say this out loud. She didn't just write it down. Like, she got up with a ladder. Like, these things are full walls.
She's doing magic in public for whatever reason. And I don't buy that thing just because you do it out in public doesn't mean it's...
I don't believe so either.
It could be just mocking people, like doing it right in front of their faces.
Well, at the end, I found some very opinionated people that had really good points, and we're going to go over some of those later that are going to hit on exactly what you're talking about.
I think it's interesting that Podesta was... Number one, like, he's not just going like, oh, I'm hanging out with this kooky artist. He, like, specifically asks in those emails, like, if she could do real magic. And he seems, like, excited about it and knows the spelling. This is beyond weird. This isn't just a weird thing rich people do. This is, like, their religion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to look at it. I mean, if you, I could get it, like, I could almost go with him on, like, if he was at these public shows and then maybe went to, like, private dinners with her afterwards out in public or something like that.
Well, even if she was doing this stuff with, like, she's definitely a witch. But,
Yes.
I'm trying to think of a way, like maybe Podesta, because rich people get sucked in by these artists and they're like, oh, it's kooky and fun. People do Ouija boards and stuff and they don't
Yeah.
necessarily think they're doing. But he specifically says, can you use this to do magic? He's serious.
Yeah, he's
He's
like,
saying, does this work? And he wants to know. So.
and she's into, and we're going to discuss it a little later, but she's also into like hypnosis and stuff like that too. Like she likes to hypnotize people.
How did Hillary lose? She had Satan on her side. What's going on here?
It's very confusing. But I mean, as we go further into the show, we're going to discuss more and more historical stories. There's always been this weird kind of occult thing going on with people in power.
Yeah.
I think they've reached such. I think the more I've looked into it, it's kind of, I think they've reached this level of human power. There is nowhere else they can go other than the spirit world to increase power.
I think
They
that's
have
a good, psychology
they have
of why
this
they do it.
they have this addiction to power, and they don't want to lose that power and control, and so they need something even beyond them that can move past human beings. Essentially,
Yeah.
is kind of what I think when I look at all of it.
I wonder if she was involved with Epstein.
I don't know. I didn't link those two, I don't think, directly, but they would have been running around in some of the same circles.
Oh, yeah.
They would. There's definitely overlap, but I did not stumble on anything that directly correlated them. So, on the other hand, other phrases and sentences included in spirit dinners appear to be fanciful, mystical activities and less morbid, such as 7 days without eating, 7 days without talking, 7 days without sleeping, 7 days without sexual intercourse, 7 days not reading or writing, 7 days not watching television, 7 days not answering telephone or fax. On the seventh day, take a bath in almond oil, eat one coriander seed, one almond, 1 tablespoon of honey mixed with royal jelly.
That's a fast. That's preparation for a spell.
Yeah, I was going to say, this almost sounds like the preparation for the thing we were talking about 2 lines up with the uncut cabbages and stuff. Like, are these different things? I don't know.
Well,
These sound like
I'm sure
instructions.
Yeah. They're definitely instructions.
Also, many of the recipes make frequent reference to crystals, which are pretty, so I guess that's kind of artsy.
Do you believe in the healing power of crystals, Patrick?
But from what I know about hippies and crystals, like, that is not what this means. Like, that is definitely a spiritual thing. And you're doing these in private, where you've said if it's in private, it's not a show. You didn't say exactly what it was, but you said it's not art.
Yeah.
It's something else.
And that was an answer to the direct question, could it be magic? Real magic.
Yep. Yep.
So she's saying yes.
Yes. So one recipe calls for 3 glasses of water that a ruby has been soaking in for 3 days and 1 pomegranate. Another involves brushing one's hair with a quartz brush until memories are released. Others reference tourmaline and meteorite, among other crystals. On one hand, Abramovic is a provocative performance artist, and the extremeness of her work could easily be attributed to her offbeat take on art. She is claimed to be a mystic, and that she predicted an earthquake in Italy, as well as the Pope being shot.
Did she predict it, or did she eat 13 cabbage leaves the night before?
I mean, that's kind of the dots that I put together on that one.
The Pope being shot. Okay.
The New York Times, who has been silent about her for a long time, recently described her recent memoir. You will need to be able to withstand a great deal of conversation about clairvoyance and tarot cards and didgeridoos and kundalini life, forces and monks and gurus, and how the soul can leave the body through the center of the fontanelle of the head, to make it very fair in this memoir.
Well, so she admits to dabbling in this stuff. Also, who said that thing about her predicting those things?
The earthquake and stuff?
Yeah.
I'd have to look where I
You
found
remember
that.
where you'd found that? Well, I think it's interesting, like, when she supposedly, it's kooky and fun, like, oh, she believes you can leave your body, and she predicted, then they believe she's really doing magic. But then when you say, well, why does a lot of this magic look satanic? They say, well, that's a conspiracy theory.
Yep.
They admit she's doing this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have her private email that says she's doing this stuff, but then if you try in any way to link it to something evil, then it's like, oh, you're crazy. This is just an artist.
Yeah,
she's an artist except for when she's not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm intentionally flipping back and forth like that to show you the way that it's being portrayed. Like, yeah, that's basically what's happening. The Times also observed that she likes to say things like, I'm only interested in an art which can change the ideology of a society.
Okay.
Her art, judged on that scale, shrinks further in size. While the rituals she suggests, performing with the pedestos, are undoubtedly unsettling, they are not secretive. The Museum of Modern Art called the recipes evocative instructions for actions or thoughts. And prints of her work are featured on their website.
Oh my gosh.
However, just because the displays are in plain sight does not mean they are inherently innocent. Considering Anti-Media does not have a satanic or occult specialist on staff, however, we are unable to provide insights into whether the recipes constitute actual satanic behavior or are simply the highly unusual expressions of an established Eastern European artist. That is the Times' take on it.
Well, this is typical media stuff when they're trying to cover for their people.
And that's kind of what it seems like is happening.
And of course, she's going to say they're going to deny it because you can't just admit it. Evil's always secretive.
But she said stuff about being a witch and a priest. She's made comments before. That's the thing. She goes back and forth.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure in the 90s it was like cool to be a witch or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, she'll go back and forth whatever suits her, but her activities don't change. They just become creepier and creepier, it looks like.
Basically, they have become creepier and creepier. And I was going to put even more pictures in. Like, I had a hard time. I couldn't get a hold of them. Anyway, her art is extremely creepy looking. I encourage everybody to just Google her name. Like, it's on the episode, like, information. Google her name and just look at images, and it will bring up a bunch of her art. It is some creepy stuff. So back to 2016, when the Clinton campaign was attempting to distance itself from emails and the spirit cooking dinners. Quote, this is not the first or last time that WikiLeaks has tweeted propaganda while doing Putin's bidding. CNET reported the campaign said in an email. That's from the Clinton campaign, and CNET is reporting it. Evidently continuing to evoke Cold War rhetoric to detract from WikiLeaks publications.
Yeah. Wow. I love how that, in general, with WikiLeaks, like, they never actually denied any of it.
No.
They just said, well, this just is what Putin wants you to see. Like, honestly, to this day, I'm kind of like, I don't know if it was Putin. I don't necessarily believe that. But even if it was, like, I don't care. I want to know this stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I was like, because Putin leaked it doesn't make it any less true. Valid.
Yeah, I know. And, it's not like he used the cyber attack to shut down our water filtration system. He, like, exposed that you're a Satanist. It's like, kind of, living in a democracy, like, I kind of want to know that before I go vote. So, I mean, you know what? I have zero sympathy for them.
No. So Abramovic in 2016 was trying to help, dispel some of this. And she had tweeted, I am not a Satanist, ! Stop it. My friends, please stop Twittering me with tag spirit cooking. Just enjoy art and stop asking me about politics. I don't feel like we were asking you about politics. I think we were asking you about the ritualistic occult ceremonies that you're performing. I think that's what the question was about.
It's funny how the
You're just happy to be
goalposts.
doing it just because you're doing it with politicians. We're not asking you about politics, although we are concerned why you're doing it with a politician.
Hey, that'd be like if Jeffrey Epstein, when they talked about him like getting little kids, for celebrities to rape, if he'd said, "Stop asking me about politics," because it involves Prince Andrew. Also, you should really read her Twitter handle. Pat.
Oh, you want me to read that?
Yeah.
Her Twitter handle is at Abramovic M666.
Oh, okay. She says as she tweets, "I'm not a Satanist."
She's like, are you or aren't you? Like, pick one. Like, you're really straddling the fence here, and I don't know why. Like, either you are or you aren't. So, this was kind of puzzling, considering that exposed in the emails, it was her who reached out to the Podestos to invite them to her dinner, though it's unlikely she ever assumed those emails would make it to the public eye.
Of course not.
So, I mean, you asked them to the dinner, and then they asked you about if it was real witchcraft, and now you're going to yell that you're not a Satanist.
And that's not the first time this has gone on. Like, those servers that were hacked were the Clinton servers. She had a relationship with these people for a long time. Just reach out. I'm not going to email Donald Trump Jr. and be like, "Hey, man, you want to come over and, like, eat some blood with me?" Like, unless I already know who he is. Like,
yeah.
This must go deeper.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's kind of weird. And I was actually, the more I looked into her, I'm like, I was kind of upset I wasn't more aware of her.
I should have got more into that stuff in 2016, Pat. I could have told you. Although honestly, man, I knew about the WikiLeaks stuff and how weird some of it was back then, but I didn't
know it was this lady. I heard about this.
Quite on this bandwagon at this point, but it was really like 2018, 2019 that a few people I know started being like, "You really need to read some of this." And when I did, I was like, "Okay, this is weird. This is like beyond just like corruption. This is some like dark stuff."
Yeah, there's some weirdness going on.
They kind of just count on people being too lazy to go look it up. I mean, I know I was.
I mean, they have it all out there now, and it's just been so long. We all just move past it.
Yeah, it's only important for 2016, basically. Yeah, it's really
weird. Because this lady's still out here. I mean, Mike, again, let's flash back to this year when Microsoft tried to put this lady in an ad.
Yeah. Why?
Why? You already knew who she was. This is 4 years after the Podesta image. You're aware, if you're Microsoft, that she got pointed at in this.
I mean, and she, with how politically involved, or at least, Paul Allen and Bill Gates and stuff are, she's probably friends with some of those people.
Yes. Well, she would have to be. How else does she end up in a Microsoft ad? Like,
well, yeah,
on that level, on a global ad, like, Gates may not be involved directly, but higher ups are, and they're aware of how he's going to gauge something like that.
Yeah, or whoever's running stuff now. I don't know if he's that involved anymore, but
that's true. Well, either way, we could chalk that up to, again, I'm not directly pointing a finger at Bill Gates in this, because again, I don't know that he's who made that decision on this, but somewhere high up in Microsoft, somebody wanted to put her in an ad.
Why is it always the same people that are running through all these conspiracies? Like, I mean, I can understand why some people go really deep in on some of this stuff, because it's like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like,
as
how
much
is it
that
Microsoft?
I get how people just decide to bury their heads. That's what it is. Like, this is disturbing, and most people don't want to deal with it.
They're gonna be like, I don't want to think about it. I just, she said it's not true. Okay, whatever.
Yep, pretty much. So Abramovich spoke about the reaction to Art News. Quote, "I'm outraged because this is taken completely out of my context," she said. "It was just a normal dinner. It was actually just a normal menu, which I call spirit cooking. There was no blood, no anything else. We just call things funny names. That's all." But again, I referenced the video from 1997 of her doing this and calling it spirit cooking and writing on the walls with something red bubbling out of a bucket that had been heated, so it had been cooked.
You know what? You know what you know what my mind goes to when she says we just call things funny names. You know when you're a kid and you went to like a haunted house that someone had like in their backyard and they'd make you touch like grapes with the skin cut off and they'd be like these are eyeballs and they'd make you like put your hand in spaghetti and they'd say these are worms.
Yeah.
It's like she's trying to pass off this stuff as like stuff like that.
Yeah. But then there's all this other stuff and all these pictures of her art that like she's got like the pentagram is one of her favorite symbols.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like it's all over so much stuff. She also claimed though that those referring to her body of work as satanic are mistaken. Quote, "My work is really more about spirituality and not anything else." She went on to say, "I've been doing my work for so long, and this is a misunderstanding. It's absolutely outrageous and ridiculous. I mean, this world really is turning to hell. I am completely amazed. Something is taken out of context for the purpose of winning. We are living in such a strange world."
Wow. Talk about getting on your high horse.
No kidding. Like, all right, so now it's all just
It is.
art, but you've called yourself a priestess, you called yourself a witch, you call these things spirit cookings, your Twitter handle is 666.
Also, think about how she's mocking us in that quote. Like, she says it's about spirituality. Well,
Yeah,
what do you
that's what
call
we're talking
spirituality when you're carving pentagrams into things and writing for people to cut themselves in blood on the wall? Like, what kind of spirituality? You know what? I'll take her at her word when she says it's about spirituality. What kind of spirituality does that sound like to you, Pat? Yeah, exactly. She's admitting it in the same sentence
Yep.
that she's denying it. It's so evil. Oh, gosh.
And you can
All right.
tell, and especially like what struck out to me the most was, I mean, this world is really turning to hell. I'm like, yeah, isn't that kind of what you're going for?
Yeah,
That's,
it's funny. It's really like some clever wordplay there.
yes.
Like,
Every time she
yeah,
talks, like you can hear it. Like just in the way she words things. It just, I don't know. It's unsettling. And it definitely, you can tell she's using wordplay. She's educated, she's well spoken, and she's doing some little turnabouts and wordplay there.
yeah. I bet that might have been. Yeah, she's doing wordplay there. Yeah.
And that was her interview with the Art News, like that. And they are one of the, you'll find as we go into this, because we're going to kind of talk about the way different publications have painted her. You'll find that they are very much in the corner of, oh, this is just all art. There's nothing going on here. They're that camp. So they're painting her that way. Abramovich has spoken extensively about the tensions involved with offering up her body and femininity to the public as part of her performance art. However, she's rarely, if ever, addressed accusations about conspiracy theorists of her loyalty to occult practices until now.
I hate the word conspiracy theorist at this point.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, so anytime you think something might be off, you're just a conspiracy theorist now. Doesn't matter how much evidence you have or what you can prove or what you found, you're still just a conspiracy theorist because the vast public doesn't know about it.
Yeah. We look at your private email saying magic is real and then be like, oh, she's doing magic. And she's like, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Yep. It's performance art, not magic. But then when I talk about it over here, I'm going to call it magic. It's, yeah, just constantly. To her fans, basically, she'll describe it as all those evil things. And then to anybody questioning her, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, this is a quote from her to the New York Times. "I need to open up my heart. I really want to ask these people, can you stop with this? Can you stop harassing me? Can't you see that this is just the art I've been doing for 50 years of my life? Just stop hassling me, you guys. I just want to draw demons and stuff
She's a
and spray blood all over.
What harassment is she really getting?
People harass her.
Well, you know what? What, on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
think that's all the further it is.
Well,
I mean, you're a public figure. Everybody's got haters. Like, what do you expect?
you know, they burned Beatles albums in the
Yep.
freaking 70s. Like, you just get over it.
Yep. Indeed, Abramovich's art frequently involved blood, bodies, nudity, pain, and tension. Quote, I am personally afraid that any kind of lunatic with a gun will come and shoot me because they think I'm a Satanist, she also told the Times.
This has never happened.
And if Marina Abramovic is scared of nutcase conspiracy theorists, she probably has a really good reason to be, some believe, because there's not too much that can spook her, supposedly. Earlier this year, Dennis, she told the Times also that she hasn't even thought once about the possibility of contracting coronavirus.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird that she's not worried about that with all her magic.
Yeah, that is weird.
She's like, I got a spell for that. I'm good.
Or she knows something we don't know because, well, who she knows.
Yep. That was the next thing I was thinking.
Yeah. I love how the article jumped from, because it jumped from this is fake, that's conspiracy, to just outright, it's like news articles, if you read them, they sound like crazy people. Like, the farther down you get, they just outright say nutcase conspiracy theorists.
Yep. Yep. Those were direct quotes.
And they don't say, they say there's probably good reason for her to be scared of nutcase conspiracy. Why? The reason they use is she's not scared of coronavirus. So you're just, she's afraid of people are actually catching on, is what she's afraid of.
Yep. That's exactly what I think is happening. Because, I mean, that was from this year. So that's all happening this year. The Microsoft ad gets pulled. She's now talking to the Times, which had never talked to her before. And I just kind of wanted to go back and kind of give you a little overview of the different ways different publications have painted her. So, this is back in 2016. These are like headlines that different news sources were putting out. The Guardian read, Marina Abramovic mentioned in Podesto emails sparks accusations of Satanism. This was kind of a half-hearted attempt to minimize the shocking news, as their article went on to read. The Huffington Post trumpeted, Trump supporters hilariously mistake famous artist for spooky occult leader, an outright attempt to mock and invalidate the news.
Wow.
So HuffPo is like completely just poo-pooing everything. Art News, as I told you, is very much in her corner. They did attempt kind of a balance, though. News Marina Abramovic on right-wing attacks. It's absolutely outrageous and ridiculous. While somehow making it all look ridiculous or absurd and just a political stunt devoid of substance. That's kind of how Art News took it.
Yeah.
The Vigilant Citizen tried to point out the obvious in the images. Clinton's campaign chairman, Joe Podesto, invited to an occult spirit cooking dinner by Marina Abramovic.
Which is a straight headline.
Yes, that's the only straight headline, I think, in all of these.
I hate the media, man. Oh, I'm getting so angry. The media, I hate the media more than anything, dude.
So, yeah, that one I'm just like, yeah, those were just, like, we just covered. Those were just literally facts from the emails.
I know, and that's probably
nobody has been able to prove that
conspiracy theory. I guess the Vigilant Citizen is nutcase conspiracy theorists.
Yep, they're crazy conspiracy theorists
for printing exactly what the email said.
Yep, crazy. In the Washington Post, there was a mad scramble to debunk the story and disassociate John Podesto from any nefarious participation in the occult. Quote, no, John Podesto didn't drink bodily fluids at a secret Satanist dinner. Yet another attempt to co-opt the reader's ability to discern falsehood.
Yeah. I love how they could just say, nope, didn't happen.
Well, I mean, and again, nothing I've mentioned directly said he drank bodily fluids at a satanic dinner.
Yeah, but he might have.
I know, but it seemed, like I said, I didn't find anything that in those emails that pointed to that directly. Everything I read was just talking about their talk about scheduling it.
And I think if you read through this carefully, well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He seemed pretty interested. He seemed pretty interested. Yeah, but I would say, I think if you read this carefully from before, she had mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I think she had actually said that the spirit cooking, they're not cooking food, they're cooking basically magic.
Thoughts, I think, is
Thoughts. Yeah. So yeah, maybe they don't drink the blood. I mean, I doubt people this rich and powerful would. I mean, that'd be
I
insanely
feel
dangerous.
like it was.
Maybe.
I feel like it was an odd, very specific detail
That they
at a
would.
time when that wasn't what was being said directly. Like nobody had mentioned in 2016
Oh, right.
about. That's what my point is.
Like they called
Nobody
up John
said.
Podesta. He's like, of course I didn't drink blood. They're like, what? Okay, we'll just print that.
That's like, but we didn't. We just asked you if you were at the spirit cooking. I didn't drink blood at a Satan dinner. Let's be clear about that. Sir, that's not what we asked you. Oh, well, just to be clear, and for the record, I did not drink bodily fluids like semen mixed with milk at Satanist dinner. Let me be clear about that.
That's crazy. Sir, was your car spotted at 9th and Main last night? I did not rob the store.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like, yeah.
That was like 5 questions down. How did you know I was going to ask that?
It's amazing how.
That was my like reacher question. I was just trying to throw you off with that one when I got to it.
It's
Weird.
just incredible how brazen the media can be with this stuff.
Yep.
It's like the big lie, if you tell, like the Nazis said, if you tell a lie big enough, long enough, people will believe it. Like you just,
Yep.
It doesn't matter how it flies in the face of reality.
Just keep that train moving. But as I've kind of mentioned already, the most telling observation is who didn't mention it at the time out of all the major news sources. Until this year, the New York Times had not really talked about her.
Wow.
They didn't address this thing with the Podesta emails. They didn't report on it at all.
That's really the worst. They say people who critique like the corporate media, like the worst thing they do is they lie a lot, they distort things, they take things out of context, but the worst thing they do and the biggest power they have is what they choose just to ignore.
Yep.
Yeah.
What they omit. So they all knew that it was a hot potato and would try to play down that event and make it go away quickly by publishing outright lies, defaming anyone who pursued the story of twisting the facts to suit their wicked agenda. The American election loomed large, and they didn't want anything to upset their plans for complete domination and control of the U.S. political system, was how many viewed it that were aware of it at the time. Like, it kind of seemed like that was what was going on.
Right.
Like, we should probably not let everybody know that we're all a bunch of Satan worshipers trying to get more power.
Or even if they are, maybe the people at the New York Times aren't, but they are so in the bag for Hillary.
Yep.
That it's like, you know what? If Podesta does some Satan stuff, I don't care. She needs to win.
Yep. That was honestly probably the lower level opinion of it. You know what I mean? The people that would have the reporters that would have gotten into this.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, anybody higher up didn't want to touch it at all.
Oh, no.
Because it was negative about Hillary. So I want to get into now just how the art world is satanic, Dennis. Just basically the art world in general is actually kind of satanic.
The magazine or just the actual?
No, just the art community as a whole.
Okay.
The way things have progressed over the last 3 generations, so roughly 80 years or so, 100 years almost.
Yeah.
Now, if you're materialistic, relativist, or atheist, then this info probably isn't going to make a lot of sense to you, but I know you're not, Dennis. I'm just speaking in general. It is or will become clearer to those seeking truth that all is not what it seems. This applies to culture and the art world as much as it does to economics, politics, and education.
I believe it.
Many believe that art has been hijacked by Luciferians and is being used in conjunction with mass media psyop terrorist program to subvert, invert everything that is truthful, beautiful, and pure.
Look at the stuff you see now versus stuff from 100 years ago.
Yep.
Maybe it's not a conspiracy, but one way or another, it might not be terroristic Satanists, but I think what's beautiful and pure surely has been subverted.
Yeah. And also, as we've kind of poked, we haven't done a lot of it yet, but the little we've poked at the entertainment world with the Billy Corgan stuff, there's some other stuff going on.
Yeah, and again, I mean, it's funny that
Yeah.
they would call this outright conspiracies. I know we stylize ourselves a little bit that way because that's what the popular term is, but um, it's amazing to me because if you just look at some of this crap that modern art is, if you just look at how, especially, Marina and people like her, and you look at the art 100 years ago, it's a legitimate question to say, what the hell happened? Like, how is this possible? This is not
Well,
what, people talk about, people are not collecting, like I was making the joke earlier about, like, oh, I want to put that on my fridge.
yeah.
People are not buying prints of her. This is not popular, okay? This is for the elite.
Yeah.
But people are still probably buying Picassos and all this, like something has happened in art and music and stuff that it's just like, regardless of what caused it, like I think it's legitimate to ask, like, how in the world did this happen? How did we go from stuff that's almost objectively beautiful to things that are just weird,
Well, and I
to
mean,
say the least?
there's been disturbing art throughout history because I mean, there was a time before we had TVs and everything when famous stories and stuff got depicted in art. So there's lots of paintings of Satan and the devil and demons doing
Oh,
things.
yeah, but
And
even
I don't know
those are
that those
done
are
with like a certain stylization. You're
yes,
not just writing on the wall with blood. I mean, it's just like it seems like art has devolved.
yes, I would agree with that. So I'm actually of the thinking at this point that Marina Abramovic has kind of become the high priestess of the satanic art world, like based on her
Right.
status and level, like, and these ceremonies that she does. She's called herself a priestess at times. Yeah, I think she might be the ringleader. I think she might be the head of this whole thing, or at least who's running the show now.
Right.
So her art is subversive and oppressive anti-art. Her modus operandi incorporates occult symbology and ritual at every opportunity. She performs psychological techniques and hypnosis to place viewers and participants into a trance-like state. The goal is to perpetuate lies under the guise of illusion. It is all done blatantly in plain sight, as required by the rules of satanic magic with a K.
Yep.
The purpose is to deceive while at the same time eliciting consent from the willing participants. Okay, so this is how actual Satanists and
That's how they
sorcerers,
work.
that's how they work. And if you like look into what they do, that's what they do. She's just not coming out and saying that's what she's doing. She is kind of, but she isn't saying it in these plain
But the
terms.
goal is to deceive.
Yes.
So of course you're not going to say that's what you're doing.
Yes.
I believe this too. When like there's a group, they're like, well, if you're going to have the Ten Commandments in a park, and some places they've done this, we should
Yeah.
have a Baphomet. We should have a big thing of Satan. And they say, well, we're not really even satanic. We're just making a point. And it's like,
Well, that's
are
a weird
you?
point.
Then why
Yeah.
isn't it like, why isn't it, a Cheers character or some random, you know what I mean?
Or
Like it's
Greek
the most,
gods.
yeah,
The,
yeah, something silly that everyone would look at and say, why is there Neptune in the park? You know what I mean? Like to actually make the point. They always choose Satan. It's just like, why? And they know it's offensive, but it's like, that doesn't even make their point. It kind of makes people, but yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about how she wants to put people in a trance-like state and hypnosis. Do you remember when you were talking about Microsoft, how the event wasn't just commercial? It was them using technology to create like hyper
mixed reality.
Yeah, it was called mixed reality. I wonder if she wasn't trying to use technology, and AR and stuff to try to hypnotize people.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that, doesn't it? And I couldn't actually find the ad. Like, I could find people writing about it, but I couldn't find the ad. I didn't really look into what this art thing was that she was doing because honestly, I don't think I want to watch it.
I'm sure it was scrubbed.
Well, it was going to display some work that she's already done.
But it was going to do it with this mixed reality.
But you could probably find the art that it's based on.
Yeah, probably. But I just mean like the mention of it and stuff has probably been scrubbed from a lot of places.
Yeah, and I didn't. I honestly, the more I read about her, I'm like, I don't really even want to look at any of your art now. Like, there might be something there that I'm messing with that I don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
And this really called to me, like, with her, with the trance-like stuff, like, this really calls out, like, why the Bible tells you not to mess with hypnosis and things like that.
Right. Yeah, because it's a deceptive way to get in.
Yeah. You're opening a door.
Yeah.
And you're allowing some. They're like vampires. You kind of got to let them in.
Yep, that's where that comes from, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually makes sense. So some believe no artist will be successful, as in fame, status, wealth, etc., in this world unless they sell out and follow the satanic agenda, which controls art, culture, and indeed the whole world. Um, and I think, again, calling back to the Billy Corgan thing, like that kind of points in that direction too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It's in a different form there, but the that's his biggest thing. He's a deceiver.
Right.
So he wouldn't choose just one form to trick everybody. He's going to use something different for everybody, depending on what's most effective on that group of people.
It's a
Apparently
horizontal revolution, man.
Apparently, lizard people work really well with musicians, just say directly with artists. Aliens work with politicians and the government.
Yeah, I mean,
But it really is, not to delve off too far, but it really is starting to seem like this is all just really tied together. This is actually all, I think, the same thing doing this, just in different forms. Like I said, this is just the plain form of, for whatever reason, art's the one where Satan's pretty straightforward with what it is.
Right. Well, that's the medium you use to. Typically we use art to play, so you can kind of open someone's mind up to stuff that they wouldn't be open to, because you can say, well, it's just symbolic, or it's just art. Yeah.
True. That is probably why it would be easiest to be most direct in that form, because you can wrap it in the veil of this is artistic.
Right.
So, her performance art is meant to obfuscate the emptiness at the heart of it, her emptiness. The goal is to make it appear profound when in fact it is empty and an insult to intelligence. Her art is, what's that?
Believe that. That's a lot of modern art.
Yeah. Her art is totally riddled with hidden spiritual terms, slogans, and symbols, and presented as satanic ritual to the deluded and unsuspecting. She says she incorporates the pentagram, the star, into her work in order to exercise its power over her life, but it seems this is a convenient lie.
Why would the pentagram have power over your life?
Well,
unless deeply involved. It's like everything she said is just like mocking the people who she's talking to.
Yep.
Like, I have never once thought of the freaking satanic symbol as having power over my, like, maybe if I was a Satanist.
Yeah, are heavily tormented by Satan.
I know. No, oh gosh. Yeah, and I love that line about how it's emptiness masquerading as, that's what Satanism is.
Yep.
It's nothingness masquerading as the good.
Yep. So, her art is not art, but actually concealed ritual worship of Satan in public view. So her art is not art, but actually concealed ritual worship of Satan. I think is pretty obvious at this point, just out in public view. It's absolutely diabolical what she's doing. Art is being totally denigrated and made filthy and ugly. The self-proclaimed witch is not an artist. She is a magician performing occult ceremonies to audiences and getting wealthy while doing it.
Yep. That's the name of the game. Tell me what's brilliant about this stuff. It's so...
No, and see, I haven't even seen it yet.
What is the talent? What is the talent that makes you write with blood on the wall that says "cut your middle finger"? Like, any human being could do that. And I guarantee you, if we really got into her backstory, other than troubled childhood, I guarantee you she got connections, and she didn't just like wow somebody at university by doing this stuff, unless it was like some Marxist professor, like. There's nothing of value to this. It's just so sad that so much of our civilization has become so empty, to the point where you can put up statues of Satan it's literally just saying nothing means anything.
Yep.
So that's my 2 cents, I guess.
Some also suspect that Marina is also a mind-controlled slave and a dupe to the elite who control this world from the shadows. That's probably the most conspiracy one that we're going to get into here. That she is simply promoting their occult agenda, unwittingly or not, in order to subvert the morality of the masses. Abramovic was emotionally starved as a child and craves attention and promotes performance art in order to command and control that attention and adulation in spontaneous and macabre theater-type spectacles, which other art forms can't replicate.
I mean, I'm sure her childhood had something to do with it, but that's
like
saying, well, Charles Manson, like he's not going to really murder people. He just like had a bad child. Like she's still doing it.
Yeah.
She's still a person. She has her own mind.
Yeah. She's like 70 years old now.
Yeah. Well.
And she's been doing, or in her 60s. Like she's been doing this she's got, her career is like 50 years. Like she goes back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, something, I don't actually think that, but I did include that. I did find several different places where they were talking about, well, she might just be kind of like mind control. I'm like, that seems like an excuse for her. Like I don't like that either. I think she's in control of what she's doing. Abramovic has made herself the subject of her art, but the office of her practice is one of conjurer, sorcerer, and illusionist in order to deceive the ignorant masses. This was and is the very same goal of communism, which first deceives, then controls, and finally destroys its victims. All done under the guise of so-called progressive art.
There's this quote by this author I used to read. I don't know how active he is anymore. His name is Mark Stein. He's kind of this British conservative guy, and he has this great quote that says, "Tyranny is always capricious." It's you literally, if you have some kind of dominating thing, whether it's Satanism or communism, you have to lie. You cannot be honest about your goals. Like it has to be cloaked until you get all the way there, and then you can do whatever you want. But yeah.
So communism and Satanism have always promoted man as God, and the end result of this ideology is always terrifying. So I want to get into the occult sex magic high priestess, Marina.
It gets weirder. Okay.
Images illustrate the sixth state to which art has descended. Blood, guts, dismembered body parts, mock corpses, satanic pentagrams, and human sacrifice rituals, all incorporated into her performances and promoted by Marina, her galleryist and PR machine. This is the debauched state social culture and art have descended to, and it is no laughing matter. Increasing droves of deluded people think this is cool, chic, or fashionable, maybe even highbrow, or philosophical. Sorry, folks, nothing really has value here. There's not anything to learn. There's no lesson here. It's just really twisted logic and malevolent intent is the only thing I pick up from all of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the more I looked at her stuff, it's disturbing. So what you see is what you see here is dangerous because history screams at us that the logical conclusion of the acceptance of this social behavior must be loss of decency, contempt for innocent human and animal lives, lawlessness, anarchy, barbarianism, authoritarian control, totalitarian, and ultimately, when all moral barriers have been removed, genocide and the demise of beauty in legitimate culture and art.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you pushing? That's what I mean. It's like, what are you pushing for? Like, what boundaries are you pushing here other than just complete social decay?
Yeah. I mean, art's supposed to tell us something about life. It's just, if you spend 50 years doing the satanic stuff, like, yeah, what's the goal? Also, I've wondered for a while now, like, I'm so sick of things being called like shocking or special because they like break mores. It's like now, like the craziest thing you could do is to be like normal.
Yep.
It's like how many decades? This stuff has been going on since like the 30s and 50s. Like
Yep.
How many, like, are we gonna go like 500 years of like everything has to be dark and evil? Like, when does it just become boring? I mean, if I walked into an art show, I mean, knowing all this is very interesting, but if I walked into one of her shows and saw this stuff, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is changing my view of the world. I'd just be like, this is stupid.
Like, what is wrong with you, lady?
It's boring and it's stupid, and I'm not shocked, and I'm not changing the way I think about things. You just make crappy art. And it's just really the impotence of this whole satanicness thing. You know, it's like a kid with a pentagram t-shirt. It's like, I know you think you're like rebelling against your parents, but like at the end of the day, it's just a waste of time. It's just like there's no reason to get into this. And like you said, what's the point? Where are we going to go with this?
Yeah.
You know, oddly enough, she herself said, I just remembered early on, that she's trying to put this stuff out in the atmosphere. I believe she said to change the way people think.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right, you know, it's like, let's say I'm going to start an art thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through our art gallery. I'm going to just paint a bunch of swastikas on the wall. Like, and then when you interview me, I'm going to say, oh, I'm just trying to change the way people think. And then when people call me a Nazi, I'm going to say, you're a conspiracy theorist. I'm just playing with these things to change. No, you're just, at that point, it doesn't matter what you think you are. You're just a Nazi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's like, I don't care what you call yourself, lady. Like, you've spent 50 years painting pentagrams with blood. Yeah. It's like you're just a Satanist at this point. Sorry to break it to you if you weren't
that's
aware.
What you are.
Which I think you are aware, but even if you're not, I mean, yeah, sorry. I'm ranting.
No, I'm with you. So no matter what your spiritual or philosophical foundation or cultural inclination is, it is clear that tolerance and understanding towards other viewpoints is being replaced by deceitful aggression towards the distortion of anything related to biblical Christian precepts and teachings. Abramovic is leading the pagan charge, using art as a means of propaganda to subvert and destroy that which is wholesome, pure, and morally right. Irregardless of what belief system one might embrace, no one has the right to denigrate or attack it. This art isn't just harmless promotion of the occult or neo-pagan ideology and practice. It is attempting to undermine and eradicate what it views as harmful and obsolete. Mm-hmm. Many Satanists have stated this goal openly, and it is in public records.
Yep. Just like those statues. Yep.
That's what real goal. Satanists want to do.
Yeah. And a lot of them don't even, I think she probably does, but a lot of Satanists, like activists, they'll say, well, I'm really an atheist. I use this as a symbol. But again, if you're functionally a Satanist, you're functionally against God. So, whatever, man.
Yeah, she doth protest too much about all of it, it seems like.
Yeah, no kidding. And again, her private emails, she says magick's real. So Explain that. Explain that other than Vladimir Putin. Yeah.
Yeah, has never publicly in any way addressed that at all. No. She just, I'm not a Satanist. Stop it. That was her whole response to all of that.
And this especially makes me angry this week. And again, we're pro, these protests against police and stuff, but not police, but police violence. Yes. I've been reading a lot of stuff about different people who are trying to use the outrage basically over, real stuff we need to fix. Excuse me. Trying to use the outrage. I don't know if you saw somebody came out and said, in fact, a pretty prominent Sean King came out and said that we need to remove all the stained glass windows, smash them, take down the statues of any Jesus that looks white. There was a move to remove the Royal Seal of England, which is St. Michael putting his foot on the devil's neck, because they said it was reminiscent of, I can send you these articles after the show, but I screenshotted a lot of them just because nowadays, who knows, what's going to be scrubbed. But there's like legit, you can just see anytime there's in our society, anytime there's like righteous movement or anything that's trying to point towards good, it just starts getting hijacked in these directions that just oddly enough always end up being anti-Christian. It's very strange.
Yeah. So images show the subtle subversion of Christian symbology. This is not accidental, but deliberate. Abramovich is personally culpable and knows exactly what she is doing. You might say, I don't see it, but that would be disingenuous. It's pretty obvious if you look at her stuff. Like
Have
the
you ever
images.
heard of? Yeah,
What?
go ahead, keep going.
I was going to say these images were set up to mock Christian art based on what is written in the Bible. The historical pieta from the Renaissance turns into blasphemy, where Abramovich's Mary becomes a scarlet whore. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
did I mention she painted Mary as a scarlet whore?
Oh wow, how creative and evocative. That does not surprise me. Have you ever heard of Piss Christ?
No.
It's a famous artwork that was like on display, I think in New York, like in the 80s or 90s. It's literally a crucifix that they bought at like a store put in human pee.
Oh, okay.
This is like part of modern art. I don't get it.
Yeah, it sounds very pretty.
Yeah, that was like a big culture war item. I think back in the 90s, people would talk about like, why would you even do that?
Anyway, Abramovich also mocked Jesus Christ by carrying the black goat or sheep on her shoulders, twisting not only gender roles, but the notion of purity and innocence of the lamb. Finally, a bare-breasted female Judas, yellow denotes betrayal, figure hanging in mock crucifixion, pose holding two snakes, symbolic of the Minoan snake goddess of fertility, is depicted ridiculing and usurping the source of new life offered through Christ's death on the cross and his subsequent resurrection from the dead. This aims to mix or dilute religious ideas and symbols into a deceptive, pantheistic, neo-pagan fusion that will result finally in the institution of a false New World religion. Like, I think that's really where this all kind of is. You got to keep in mind there's that three parts that happen in like the end times or whatever: the one world government, the one world religion, and the one world money. This is the angle on the religion, I think.
People will mock and scoff, and I mean, what other reason? It's funny, let's say, oh man, I have a lot to say this. I really didn't expect to say this much, but let's say she's not working with the devil. Why do you hate Christians so much?
Yeah.
If you did this with any other religion, if you put Muhammad, like riding a gay unicorn or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you did this type of thing with any other religion, people would say, well, you're hateful.
Yeah.
Like, so why are you allowed to do that with Jesus and Mary and, make Judah? It's clear what's going on here. Like, even if you don't think you're doing Satanism, you're doing Satanism. Sorry.
She states, actually, you see, what is my purpose of performance artist is to stage certain difficulties and stage the primordial fear of pain, of dying, all of which we have in our lives, and then stage them in front of audiences and go through them and tell the audience, I'm your mirror. If I can do this in my life, you can do it in yours.
Oh, yeah, so she's proselytizing. Also, man, you want to see someone dying? Go into any church. Look at the crucifix.
Yeah.
You're not being special by making this weird satanic stuff.
Let me finish up this point, and then I have a picture I want to talk to you about that I included in this.
Okay.
So does the public need this to kind of sadistic mirror to help them with their pain?
I was really hoping to see Judas on a cross. Like, what are you talking about, lady?
I don't understand. Like, he hung himself. Like, if you know what happened to Judas, it didn't turn out well for him after all that. On Twitter, she has stated openly that an occult magic ritual performance in the museum gallery, as I told you earlier, is art, but done in private, it isn't art.
Oh, so she admitted it publicly as well. Interesting.
Yep.
Earlier, it was private.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was in the Podesto emails. Yeah. Apparently, she said it somewhere else, too.
So this is her belief. She stated it publicly and privately. That's a belief, man.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah.
So what changed between the public space and the private space? The effect is exactly the same. Playing with demons in public or in private has the same satanic effect on unsuspecting participants.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I'm not a satanic magician, but
well, I dabbled a little, and yeah, it's just definitely done.
I would assume praying in public and praying in private, it's the same thing.
Yep.
So why wouldn't this be the same thing?
So Abramovic isn't content to settle for occult promotion. She wants to insult and blaspheme against what she hates. Art has been co-opted by the satanic ruling elite who are guiding the world towards World War III. As I got into this, like, this is kind of where everybody started pointing with her. Is like, I think this is kind of how they defame everything to make, like I said, the one world religion. Like, we got to tear down all the other religions first.
Yeah. I believed that for a while, and I still do. What I don't get, though, is why they never touch Islam. That's like over a billion people.
Term, there's a lot of people that argue that that's somehow going to be blended into this, and that may be the official one world.
Oh, that will become the interesting.
Yeah. Okay. That would be the figurehead, or it would meld with whatever else is coming.
And see, I have heard that theory as well, but then let me take you to step number 2. How's that work with China? China actively, is more or less genociding Muslims right now. Like, you have like about 3 billion people on Earth who are split down the middle between Islam and Marxism. And so I don't see how and then, you have about a billion, another 1.5 billion who are Christian. So you got to attack. Maybe they're just attacking us first, and then the rest will work itself out.
Well, you brought up the Chinese. So the Chinese, their religion is really power.
Right.
So if something magical shows up that has unlimited power, China's probably going to start believing in whatever that is so that they can harness that power.
Yeah, especially if it works with them.
That's what I mean. Like, China, like I've heard that argument before for people like, well, what's happening with China? They don't really have a religion. I'm like, yeah, they're going to fall in line with whatever. Their religion is power and control.
That's smart, Pat. That's very smart.
And so
that's true. And they're specifically a blank slate. The communists there, they even erased Confucianism to an extent and all that stuff. They nationalized it and made it more Mandarin or whatever their main ethnic group is. That's why they say, like, if you really want to see Chinese culture, like, you basically have to look at like Taiwan.
Yeah.
Because even the traditional Chinese things were destroyed by the communists, much like they're trying to destroy a lot of those things here. But anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah. Anyway, not going there tonight. We're not going there.
No,
we've already gone far long enough. I'm trying to bring this home.
All right.
So I think where I'm going to end at is I kind of want to talk about this picture. And I don't have a lot of information on it. It just kind of speaks for itself. So it's the last picture I've got in the notes, Dennis. It's of Marina Abramovic with Jacob Rothschild in front of Sir Thomas Lawrence's 1797 painting entitled Satan Summoning His Legions.
Oh.
I just figured we could extrapolate about that for a minute. Because there's no explanation behind this. I couldn't find any true reason why the picture was taken, other than she's a big art person, and the Rothschilds, I'm sure, collect tons of art. Yeah. And I'm sure how they'd explain it. But it's just kind of weird how this satanic occult high priestess is with one of the most powerful men in the world
in front of this picture.
It's not an accident that they're in front of this picture. They didn't just stroll by at an art gallery. Hey, how you doing? You want to take a quick picture? No, this was thought out. In my opinion, I don't have anything to back that up. It just seems, based on who these people are, and a lot of stories that you can get into about the
she's wearing like a black robe too.
Yes. Also, kind of looks like what you would expect. The only thing she's missing is like a necklace pentagram. Honestly,
I love how she's right in front of Satan.
Yeah.
And then kind of how the demon or whatever is standing right behind him. He's standing behind her.
Yeah, they are kind of doing the pose in the picture. So the picture depicts Satan. In the full picture, you can look it up. It's this weird humanistic Satan. He's kind of pretty.
Kind
And
of
he's
looks
got
like a Roman general or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like got both his arms in his hand with a staff, and you can't see it because they're standing in front of it. But if you look up the actual picture, there's like a aura coming out of the ground, and then there's a demon standing off to Satan's back left. And Marina and Jacob are pretty much positioned like that. They're not doing the same poses. I feel like that would been a little too on the nose and not really her style. But I kind of almost think like, yeah, their positioning is planned.
What a bizarre. So bizarre. Man. Wow, Pat.
Yeah. So
That's yeah. Go ahead. Keep going, yeah.
So, although Abramovich is portrayed as some kind of art heroine, the nice, sincere girl next door, do not be duped by this.
Is that how she's portrayed?
Well, if you look at some of the more liberal stuff like the art news, like I didn't include so much of the stuff that was kind of in her corner, but yeah, the people that are on her side make her sound like she's completely innocent.
Okay.
I realize I didn't paint her like that.
Man,
But in the art community, like she's a hero because she's so progressive and pushing things forward. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, Dennis, many killers, perverts, rapists, and sadists have also been recorded as sincere, innocuous, and even charming individuals. Nevertheless, though, their diabolical actions and heinous crimes against humanity are written in history and evident for anybody to research. So, if we know this much about what she's doing in public, what kind of weird stuff is she doing in private?
Well, we know partially what she's doing in private based on
I
the
mean, that's what I mean. Like these dinners, like she was public about that before the emails even came out. Like there was videos and stuff. Like
she's like publicly painting with like this boiling cauldron of blood, and then she's like inviting him to a spirit dinner. She's like, "Oh no, that's just we just cook food. I just say
yeah,
that to be funny."
where did the blood come from? Was there some sort of a ceremony involved in that? I'm sure
I
there
would like
was.
to know like if that was actual blood.
Well, like I said earlier, it's been pointed out as being pig blood at some point, and I think if I remember, I don't remember what I said. We talked about that earlier. At one point,
Okay,
it is talked about as pig blood, though.
I missed that. Okay.
So that's what I mean. Like, did she slaughter a pig? Where did this pig blood come from? Was that a separate ceremony? Also, that one is bubbling. Again, we don't know that the 1997 one is necessarily blood. It's
So at least
but
one
she's done this a
is
lot.
real blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's done this a lot. I basically combined a bunch of different reports and just people talking about these things. 'Cause again, she does it publicly. Like, you basically just have to be a big donor to get into these private parties.
Man, how do you even deface something like that? Like, there's no way
Asking for
to.
a rioting friend.
You like throw poop on it. She's like, "Thank you. You've made it 10 times more powerful."
Yeah.
There's like no way to rebel against this.
So, to kind of give you an idea of where she's coming from as we wrap this up, Alice Bailey, which we're not going to get into her too much, but she was back almost 100 years ago and was kind of the start of this whole push of culture and progressiveness in art. And in her 10-point charter for social subversion, taken from the Externalizations of the Hierarchy, written in 1934 and published in 1957, and now integrated into the UN mission.
Oh, great.
Quote. Oh, yeah, I saved a bombshell for you at the end, Dennis. This is in the UN mission statement. Quote, debase art and make it run mad. Promote new forms of art which will corrupt and defile the imagination of people because art is the language of the spirit. That which is inside, you can bring out in painting, music, drama, etc.
That's kind of what art has done. This is making me want to like cut myself off from like other things in popular culture that
Yeah, it's made me look at a lot of things that I see, and I'm like, oh, this is all over the place. This is completely leaked out in so many different ways.
I like how it's in the UN. Yeah.
And this mandate by Bailey is over 80 years old at this point.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, This started bubbling in the 20s and stuff with Crowley. I knew that the 30s is when it started kind of rearing its
Really getting
head, but earlier I said the 50s is when
and yep,
it was after the war that it started becoming in universities and
yep.
this has been a long time coming. I mean, I gotta give the communists and the Satanists their due. I mean,
They played the long game.
they played the semi-long game, I guess. I mean, what's 70 years when you're talking about? But yeah, for our short little attention spans, where you could just read a headline and say, "Oh, it's stupid."
Yeah.
Yeah, they've played the long game.
Well, Marina Abramovic has obeyed Bailey's edict to the letter and dragged art down to yet another level of corruption.
That she did.
Yeah. And that's it, Dennis.
Wow.
All I got.
I don't think I've ever been like mad after a show.
Welcome to my
Like,
world.
even when we talk about like some of the stuff I talk about, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty evil. I don't think I've ever been like, I want to like just like I'm not gonna hurt Marina Abramovic. However, like everyone, like, oh gosh, this is just disgusting.
Yep. So
And I really like how you used her own words and stuff a lot in this episode.
yeah, she really hung herself at a lot of different points.
Well, like I said, you do it out in the open deceptively. I think you really did a good job walking that line of presenting both sides, but not giving the deceptive side too much attention. You know what I mean? Because when I Googled her initially, it's nothing but articles.
Yep.
For pages of her, like basically how awesome she is and how this is a big misunderstanding. But this is stuff you cannot deny. Like, has anyone really asked her, like, why is it 666? What's up with the pentagrams?
I'm sure she ignores a lot of those. Like, that's what I mean. Like, now that you're Googling her out, you're kind of seeing the wall I went up against, which is mainly positive information about this lady.
Well, you'd have to. I mean, yeah, you can't let this be known. I mean, look, she put in 50 years trying to subvert things.
Yep.
It's really depressing to me that subversion always goes one way. You know, that it's either meaningless, like a comic book movie, or it's satanic.
Yep.
You know, you hardly ever see something subversive. I mean, the most subversive thing is still Christ. If you want to talk about the state we're in the world. Nobody's ever brave enough to do that. That's the one thing you can tear down. That's the one people. That's the one person you can tear down. And it's supposedly brave, even though it's just been decades and decades of this just childish. That's just, you know, I even see it. You know, you even see it on lesser levels. Just what can pass as comedy and I'm not trying to say we should start like a Christian Taliban or something and you can't make jokes or whatever, but I mean just look how casual it is to mock that, you know, to mock the Bible and Jesus, and it's just like considered somehow edgy when it's like I can't think of a time in my life when it wasn't considered edgy. I'm going on 35, you know.
Yeah.
Just like when is this gonna it's just never going to end because it's not edgy. It's an actual, at some point, whether you mean it to be or not, it's just like an actual, you know, either Marxist or satanic destruction of beauty.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well,
all right. Well,
this has been fun, Dennis.
I'm going to go sit on my porch and watch the sun come up in 9 hours. I think about these things. Maybe I'll have a nice breast milk and sperm.
Well, yeah, you should. Well, that's only if there's an earthquake, though, I think.
Yeah, well, no. The milk, I think, oddly enough, I think the earthquake was the cabbage thing, if I remember correctly.
No. The earthquake.
Oh, no, you're right.
The earthquake was semen and milk.
You're right. That's how you start an earthquake that you predict. And then the
yeah, pretty much.
13 leaves of cabbage was for the attack.
Yeah, that was for the attack.
What I really like.
And then you got to fast for 7 days from social media and stuff. I think was in there at some point too.
Think about all the people who are just sitting around, just kind of jealous in general, and then they eat a salad of 13 leaves of cabbage and just unbeknownstly like do magic.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's all about intention, though. That is one thing that should be said. Magic is all about intention. If you
Yeah.
read people like Crowley, you can't accidentally do it, and really, you could do nonsense stuff, and it could be real magic. It's all about your willingness to make a deal with it.
The heart plays a big part in all of it.
Yep, exactly.
So, thank you all so much for listening. Like, rate, subscribe, share it, tell a friend. We appreciate all of it. We will be back next week with something else weird. Thank you all for listening. Bye.
Thank you.